fired up on the air at Suzilla.
Sure, Matt, you bet. Hi, I'm Susie. That's Matt. We are Wenatchee Insurance. Welcome to Suzilla on a lovely Thursday the 19th. I'm going to do a little moving of stuff here.
Oh, yeah, move stuff around.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. So if you hear thumping, that's what it is. All right, I'm back.
Okay, so
So
we didn't discuss what we're going to talk about.
Nope, you're going to take me by surprise again today.
Yeah, because you're not prepared.
I never am.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about National Preparedness Month.
Oh. That's right. It's October, isn't it?
It's September.
Oh, so we were not prepared for National Preparedness Month.
Well, we kind of live that prepared lifestyle.
Kind of. Not as much as some.
Not as much as some, but it has certainly helped us through this last year.
Yeah, it's true.
There's goofy little things, and we even got in a conversation with a couple of people yesterday concerning freezers.
That's true.
And one of the things we're talking about, freezers and the ability to store meat. Because, well,
protein's
important, and strangely, it was about two hunters. It was two different families that were dealing with hunting in the production of meat.
Yep. We had a person who was new to the area who had one of their new friends offer to take him hunting for the very first time. I always said, go. It's not just about the deer, but it's also about the community and the friendships and that kind of situation, which is absolutely true.
Oh yeah, and it's wonderful because they've got enough that they're able to share in that adventure.
Yeah.
And participate and bring home, because hunting to start out, not the cheapest thing.
No.
Because you got to spend tags. You got to get your ammunition. You got to know where to hunt.
Well, you got to have a gun.
You got to have a gun. My family was notorious for us. Our first gun was a single breech loaded shotgun, 12 gauge.
Okay.
And the idea behind that was ammunition's expensive.
Yeah.
You get one shot, and usually that's about it.
Yeah.
You could use it for, if you use birdshot,
you could use it for birds.
And if you use slugs, you could use it for deer.
It was a multitasker.
And that's one of the cheapest hunting weapons out there.
Yeah. And if you're a good shot, it gets the job done.
Oh yeah. But that was that prepared cycle that we did. As here's 12 years old. You're going to go to your hunting class. You're going to get your first firearm, and you're going to do it right. It wasn't here's your AK, son. Go shoot up the hillside. No. None of that nonsense.
Not so much.
But it was that nature of being prepared. So yeah, stocking up on meat is one of the things that has really been beneficial for us, and we've used this technique for years.
True. We shop sales, or we watch the clearance batches, or if we can invest, we'll invest in a butchery.
It's the principle is not shopping when you need it.
Yes. It's shop and get stocked up, and that's not always easy to do when you're feeling pretty broke.
Yeah.
I've run into that myself. So the theory is, if you buy a larger amount, it'll last you longer, and it usually is less expensive per unit.
Yeah.
So you can spend $9 on a pack of, an 18 pack of toilet paper, which would last you, 2 or 3 weeks. We don't use a lot of it. I mean, we're a family of 3. It's not that huge. But if you don't have $9,
that's where things get tricky.
Then you have to buy the smaller size, because you still need the product, but you can't afford the bigger pack. It's awkward. It's complex. It's that old story of the cardboard shoes. You buy the cheap pair of shoes once a year for, $10, or you spend $100 and get a pair of shoes that lasts you 20 years.
Yeah.
But if you haven't got $100.
Yeah, it's that initial overcoming, and that's where planning is critical.
Yeah.
Because there are times where we will sit down. It's like, okay, what is our next task that we need to knock out?
What's our next outlay?
What's our next outlay? I've had friends that, that the minute they got laid off from work would be, here's my 20 pounds, sack of flour, beans, and rice, because they knew that they were in for some really lean times.
Yep.
We've done similarly with, hey, you know what? It's possible lean, Ramen City.
Yeah.
And that's just that shift in mindset. I remember there was one year that we ate ramen. Oh Lord, our son ate ramen for a good 6 months.
No, he was big. It was peanut butter and jelly for him.
Peanut butter jelly.
I like peanut butter and jelly, because peanut butter was a low cost source of protein.
Mm-hmm.
Matt's mom had canned a lot, and we had a lot of jelly in the cupboard, and because of that savings, we could afford decent bread.
Yeah, that was one of those things. Was having someone that was canning, or doing serious food prep, because my mom, bless her heart, rediscovered canning when she retired.
Yep, and she loved to do it. She was an award winner.
Oh yeah, we have blue ribbon jars still to this day.
Yep.
But that was one of the things of being prepared. It's like, okay, yeah. She grew up on a farm in Okanagan.
Yep.
That electricity was spotty at best.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a lot of root cellar, a lot of canning and pickling.
Yeah.
And that was one of those things to make food last.
Exactly. A lot of, it was a lot of classic food prep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not modern food prep, classic food prep.
Yeah, it was very classic. It was well. Here's the goofy thing: the month of September is also National Potato Month.
Is that when usually the potatoes start coming in?
I don't know if it's also National Rice Month.
Okay.
National Sewing Month.
Okay. All kind of leans together, doesn't it?
Self-Awareness Month, National Italian Cheese Month, National Americana Month.
It just kind of ties together, doesn't it?
Yeah, Better Breakfast Month.
Still had a bowl of cereal for breakfast. Can't say much about that.
Yeah, but it's Whole Grains Month. So it's a lot of Sourdough September, National Honey Month.
I like honey.
Yeah, but honey's one of those ones that.
Well, this is actually when a lot of beekeepers start harvesting their honey, because they need to. They're getting, they're doing that.
Yeah, but it's a lot of your fall harvest preparing for winters.
Well, yeah, because fall is harvest time. We're starting to see pears come in. Apples should be coming in soon. If they're, it's like, imagine some places are already starting to pick. We'll see, potatoes and, the fall.
Yeah, the fall harvest.
Fall harvest, gourds and pumpkins and, the winter storage foods.
Yeah, it's the stuff that stores really well for winter. If you got a dark space that's dry.
Root cellar.
That's classic food prep. One of the things that is changed over the years is tuna fish.
Yes it has.
My mom, I think your mom also did some here in the valley.
She never
canned salmon.
She never canned it herself. We ate it.
Yeah.
Still got a recipe for salmon loaf. It's actually pretty tasty. Might have to try that one these days.
It's kind of one of those weird.
It is weird food. It is absolutely weird food.
It's really strange food to have canned salmon loaf. We would get. We had hunters that went up to Alaska.
Yeah.
So and there was canning readily available.
That was it wasn't home canning. That was professional.
That
canning.
was professional in a tin can canning.
And we had a cannery here in Wenatchee. It was East Wenatchee, and we had shelves and shelves and shelves of fruit. peaches and pears and applesauce and all that kind of stuff. And my mother used that frequently. What they would do is and I never got to go in because it was, it was sort of
it was food processing.
Processing. But what you do is you go over there and you would take your fruit and you would assist in the canning process, but it would be you do your prep for whatever flavors you want, however you want to get your stuff in there. And it would go through the formal big, I would say it's a 1 pound can of whatever you're processing, but it'd be yours. You pay for you'd pay for the cans and I imagine a fee for the processing. But yeah, it worked out great. Worked out fabulously, and they never puffed.
That was one of the big things with cans is making sure that they don't puff or pop up, because that's a sure sign they got a bacteria.
Botulism. That will kill you.
That will kill
your butt. And meat canning is a very, very specific set of rules.
Oh yeah,
you got to be very careful about that. You can't just higgledy-piggledy can meat. But so if you're like in Alaska and you've got access to a cannery situation, go for it.
Well, you can use the glass jars, but you got to do the whole pressure cooking thing.
You've got to do it just so.
Yeah, there are specific certifications.
Every
to do it.
type of home canning has very specific rules, because otherwise, botulism. Nobody likes to do that.
And one of the things that we did in the last 20 about 18, 20 years that has changed is the going from the tuna fish cans that we grew up with, that were very common in the 70s and 80s.
They're still there, dear.
They're still there, but they were common.
Yeah.
Those have been overtaken by the pouch.
I don't know if you can say they've been overtaken.
Yes.
Did you research that? 'Cause I know that we do the pouches more frequently at home, but
the generation from millennial younger prefer the pouch.
Okay. Well, they don't need a can opener for one.
Yeah, that was one. The other is the storability.
Yeah, they're flat. Yep.
Single use.
Mm-hmm. Well, a can of tuna is single use. Yeah, no.
It
used to be a can of tuna was 3 or 4 sandwiches. Now a can of tuna is 1.5 if you're lucky.
Yeah, it's the whole shrink ray, I think, did them a disservice.
It really did. But the pouches are more expensive to buy.
You have to find the sales.
Yeah, I mean, right now, for example, last week Safeway's store brand was $1 a pouch, which is actually a pretty decent rate. I don't like to buy them if they're more than that.
Yeah, that's your price point.
Yeah, I kind of. Maybe $1.25.
Yeah.
But I like to have tuna in the house because it's a good backup food.
It is, but that's part of being prepared. When I have free range and I got more time on the hand and I go to the grocery store, there are certain things that I usually will pick up something of.
Yeah.
Just because I know that we'll use it down the road. It stores well. And if disaster strikes or emergency strikes, we have it on hand. Dry noodles is one of those things.
Like spaghetti and stuff?
Like spaghetti. Or even macaroni,
Yeah, we usually do rotini.
Yeah, rotini.
We've also discovered we like the whole grain rotinis and macaronis versus the white versions, just because they have more flavor.
It's the flavor, and you got to pop up the sauce.
Yeah, it's all good. But that's just a personal thing.
But yeah, if you ever watch me go through, there are things that I will naturally grab if I'm not adhering strictly to a shopping list. Yeah,
you'll grab canned beans, canned tomatoes, things that are great for crock potting. You know, and that's awesome. Sometimes it's not in the budget to stock up on stuff like that at that moment, but sometimes it is.
No, and that's why when we're usually together, I ask about that because it's stuff that I naturally do because it's the way I grew up. Is, hey, wow, these are cheap. Get them now.
Well,
because they store. It's a different mindset.
It is. It is. It absolutely is, and it's a good mindset. I'm glad that you're part of them. I'm glad you brought that mindset to my life. I unfortunately have a tendency to default to desperation mindset, which is the buy the least you can get for, buy what you can afford rather than what you can. Don't the toilet paper analogy I did earlier.
You're in the conservation mode.
Yeah.
In that, hey, I'm not going to expend. I'm going to expend as little as possible to make it last as long as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, hey, let's higgly-piggly put these pieces together for a long term.
Mm-hmm.
One short term.
It is.
It's very short term thinking. The other is long term.
That's why we work well together, because I can think short term and he can think long term. So we create a decent dynamic. It's just, it's not always easy to be in a desperate situation, and you gotta give some grace.
It's not being in a desperate situation. It's putting out these safety nets.
Okay. We're talking about when you're not in a desperation situation, building up. Yeah, sorry, I went in a different.
Because what happens is you've got this stockpile.
Yeah.
Of
which
things
helps,
that are already taken care of.
So it helps reduce things when things do get tight.
Yeah, it reduces the impact. It reduces the need for, oh my gosh, I need a GoFundMe because a complete disaster happens.
Yep.
Or I need to pass a hat to, bury someone. These are things that by adhering to that short-term mindset, you're seeing more of.
Yeah. Well, another part of I gotta agree with you on that regard. It's not easy. It's a national
social trend.
Sure. It's hard to think long term sometimes. We've had a very instant gratification theme for a decade or more now. It's like, nope, gotta have it now. Do it now. No. Not thinking, not being able to, or not thinking about saving for the future.
Yeah.
Not thinking about putting away a stack of cans of beans for the future. You think about, well, what's for dinner tonight?
If you're lucky.
And
you argue about that.
So it's a mindset that has unfortunately been a disservice to a lot of people. Another factor of that is things like some of the basic things like cooking. My mother taught me how to cook.
Yeah.
And you know how to cook.
Yeah.
So we can take that. I can take 2 chicken thighs and feed 3 people on it.
Well, you've got an advantage to me because you know how to actually butcher a chicken.
I can butcher a chicken.
You laugh, but that is I just saw it the other day with someone like, who's got a whole cut up chicken?
And who sells cut up chickens?
Because I remember
Safeway does.
I remember I'll just roast the whole darn thing.
Oh yeah, and
that's my workaround.
And I'm good with that.
But someone was looking for, how do you do that? And it's like, yeah, I could probably do it with a big enough cleaver. And
I just need a sharp knife.
You just need a sharp knife, but it's like, okay, yeah, it's like, okay, this, cut it at the joints, and I kind of know how to do it.
Yeah.
And with the right YouTube video or the right diagram, I probably have got it down.
Yeah. Well, basically, you just get it in chunks, you're in good shape. But yeah, chicken breaks down to like 6 pieces. But yes. Now, we rarely buy a whole chicken unless we are going to roast it, because it's usually cost effective to buy the thigh packs. But there are things I can do to stretch that protein, because I do know how to cook, because I have learned how to cook. I know how to make tuna casserole, for example, and I've taught our son to make tuna casserole. So we don't have to, we can spend money on lower cost ingredients and make them into a larger meal versus Insta products that will last one meal. I could spend $10 on one meal, or I could spend $10 and get 3 meals. Big difference.
Well, we joked about it. It was one of those adult badges that you get. Our son completed was doing the big pot of food that lasts multiple days.
Yeah, he made himself a tuna casserole.
And that is one of those badges that you get when when you move out on your own. It's like, okay, how do I make this? How do I feed myself for many days running around?
Mhm.
And tuna casserole is a perfectly good example of it.
And he likes it.
He likes it. Done spaghetti that way. I've done chili.
Yep.
Salad, the never-ending salad bowl.
The never-ending salad bowl.
That's like an extra badge, I think.
Yeah. We've done taco salad, which lasts us usually 2 days. Of course, we usually eat that up pretty quick because it's delicious. But yeah.
The never-ending salad bowl is a skill.
Yeah.
Because each day you add the accoutrements to it.
Yeah.
And you keep going, and I know it's just horrible, bacterial wise.
Yeah.
But that's one of the.
Stir it occasionally.
You got to stir it, and if it gets too liquidy, you have to throw it out and start over again. But that is one of those things that you do in your 20s.
Yeah.
And so let's get into be prepared, because one of the things I hit we had an insurance conference yesterday.
Yeah.
Amazing. We got to connect with a bunch of other people that were helping people enroll in insurance.
Yep.
And a bunch of the health plans. We got sneak peeks of some of those things. And I did hey, what about the COVID tests?
Yeah.
Because I noticed that none of them were talking about COVID tests. And
no.
And one of the, I had to, had the representative up there, but it was like, well, there's no reimbursement for it, so we're not offering it.
Yeah.
And it was just that cold.
Just no incentive, no reimbursements. Like, nope. We're not going to give you COVID tests.
And at the same time, we had the healthcare authority in the room. Or it was our district health.
It was the district health. It was the health department saying, we have free tests. We have a vending machine.
And it's like, I didn't know they had free tests, because we were looking around and we knew that there was a national program for 4 per household.
Which we're taking advantage of.
Well, we're still waiting to see. It's the end of this month before it comes out.
We'll take advantage of it on the 28th. So go do that. And they'll mail them to you. You'll get 4 per household.
But that's one of those be preparedness. Is we actually went through a bout of COVID for the first time. After 4 years, yes, our household finally got it. But it was relatively mild for us.
Yeah, for a couple of different reasons, not the least of which that Matt and I had just gotten immunized.
Yeah.
And we'd all been immunized prior to that. We had just gotten the most recent immunization, the Flirt variant, the week before.
Yeah.
So I think that's why my symptoms were quite mild. Matt's were harder. He had a rough cough. I never got a cough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a couple of lucky days, but
yeah, we had yucky days and the brain fog. But the fact that we were able to kind of work our way through it, and without complete disaster.
Yeah, we were lucky. We know this.
Yeah, we know this. And at the same time, we were, we had a stockpile of tests. So we tested once we were negative, we could open up our office again.
Yep.
We did a lot of remote calls when we could, and usually by noon we were like, okay, we're wiped out, we're done.
And we had food delivered.
Yeah, we had food delivered to our door
because we had the grocery delivery setup thing going on.
Yeah, and that is the way we were able to work through it.
Not every COVID case is that simple. We know this, so don't think we're
and yeah, it definitely dehydrated me.
Okay.
Because there's I couldn't get enough water in me, and it was like, I purposely drank a ton of water and fluids. Our son was the same way with juice. We kept him juiced up and souped up.
Yep.
And that's some of the things that it's like you take for granted. A lot of the Apple Health programs had additional food services. Yeah,
if you've been in the hospital, you can get a food delivery, of healthy foods to you, which is kind of cool. Medicare, a lot of Medicare Advantage plans have those same things.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that we're coming up on Medicare enrollment period.
Yep.
October 15th. So you're going to want to set up appointments early enough.
Yeah.
This year especially.
Yeah, lots of changes with the American Rescue Plan Act. You want to make sure that you have the plan that you want for 2025 because there's enough changes coming to the drug faction of it
Mhm.
that it might not be the right plan for you coming this next year. But it might be perfect too, but it's always good to know.
Yeah. But we're telling everyone you want to go early.
Yep.
If you've got someone in your life on Medicare, ask them, hey, have you set your appointment?
Mm-hmm.
And if they say, oh no, we're going to wing it, Medicare annual enrollment period is only 53 days.
That's right. Now, your Medicare plans will be sending out the annual notification of change letter. It probably might even be in your mailbox at this point.
Yes.
It's called the ANOC, A-N-O-C.
Mm-hmm.
What this is it is a letter that tells you this is how your plan is structured this year. This is how your plan will be structured next year. That's a really, really important letter this year.
And we on the other side, the health side, the under 65 crowd, those letters we also come out
Mm-hmm.
and they will tell you how you're changed. Usually everyone pays attention to the price,
mm-hmm.
and they get the surprise of, oh my gosh, I got additional copays.
Yeah, you got to watch benefits too.
You got to watch benefits, and that's why we're one of the few that say, hey, let's review it.
Yeah, it's not okay to just shop price.
Mm-hmm.
Price does not indicate quality.
Oh yeah, I had another person where we were talking about that. It's like, oh well, hey, this one's got all these copays that you have to meet before the deductible. You had this deductible, and then you had copays, and then you had this other plan that hey, it's a little bit more per month, but you had a lot more copays before deductible.
Right, a lot more. That's the usability.
And he understood that right out of the gate.
Yay!
And it was like I didn't have to explain that. I printed up the set of documents because he was going to take it home to the boss.
There you go.
And it was like, that is beautiful, because one of the things that we like to have is the decision maker in the room. If the decision maker is not in the room, we get the literature to them and bring them in next time.
Yep. Or get them on the phone, or there's a million different reasons.
There's a million different reasons. And time is limited.
Yeah. We do not have a lot of time to get this done right this year. We never have a lot of time. It's always hard, and there's so many things going on that we really want to make sure that everyone has what they need. We've expanded our office hours. We're going to be here 7 days a week. And we'll be here until, from the break of dawn till the, well into the night, until everyone's taken care of to the best of our ability.
And there'll be a time where our schedule is completely full and you go, oh my gosh, it's all full. Call and leave a message.
Yeah, we will see what we can do.
And this is Susie and I planning of hey, this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. This is the backup plan, because I really want our neighbors to understand what they're getting into before they need to use it.
Exactly.
It's the very nature of being prepared. Mm-hmm. Is, hey, I've got this thing. I need to know how this thing works before I have to reach blindly behind in my back and grab it. Yep. And it's the nature of insurance. Mm-hmm. It's the nature of being prepared and running a household. Mm-hmm. These are big concepts that you kind of look at as America classic.
Yeah, there you go.
The whole trad wife thing is leans heavily into that, and I think it's kind of it's just the whole planning and logistics, because on the business side it's logistics. Yeah, and that has really, because we set up when we started going in our business over the last couple of years, is we would plan and execute. Usually it's a couple months to a year in advance. Yeah.
Yeah. For logistics for a business, you've always had a 12-month plan at least.
Yeah, and it's one of those goofy though. There's a couple points where we pivot during the year.
Oh yeah, but we're prepared for the pivot.
But one of the great examples is our relationship with the Wenatchee Wild. Mm-hmm. We were doing well one year, and we had the opportunity to do a 3-year sponsorship.
So we did.
And it allowed us to kind of coast through.
Mm-hmm.
If I would know that we could have paid ahead for a bunch of other marketing, we would have been Fat Cat City.
Yeah.
But we haven't.
No, because we weren't able to. But that's beside the point entirely, and that's a good plot. That's, so be prepared.
Be prepared. Think long-term over short-term.
Uh-huh.
Pick up some skills along the way that will serve you in the long run.
Right. And you'd be surprised at how many people around you have skills that you don't. So don't hesitate to ask, do a little skill trading. Hey, teach me how to make bread and I'll teach you how to can pickles, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's totally okay.
So, hey, have a great day and we will talk next week.
Yes, indeed. Bye.
Bye.